Hi there! I'm Timmy from MondoCon, and here's next to me Danny McFly from Austria. I said it right,
correct.
yeah? He's our cosplay judge today, and he judged the cosplay competition for today, and he will judge again tomorrow for our Cosplay Champions Cup. So I will ask some questions from him. Stay tuned. So, hi Danny. This is your second time at
Yes.
MondoCon, if I'm correct. How does it feel now?
Oh well, for me back then, because everything kind of got bigger over time, if you know what I mean. Because MondoCon was one of my first international events.
Really?
Back then, like it was like second or third event ever that I've been a guest to, and it was very different experience for back then because like you much more nervous, much more like what do they want me to do? And now with some experience, I think it's just much better. Like getting for me and for the convention both, I know what people expect. I know what I can give them, and I can be much more professional even about the whole thing, but also have more fun overall because I'm not so stressed out all the time.
And it's really good that you raised this because I'm curious that in several contests or conventions, your rule or role as a guest is exactly the same. So you go there, you judge the competition, you have some panels, you
Yes.
do the dedication. So it has some kind of, how they say it, routine. Yeah, that you can use.
It's
to
a
it.
little bit different everywhere because like contests are judged differently everywhere. Some have performance, some just have the cosplay, then they have different judging criterias everywhere. So I think there's 4 or 5 judging criteria here, and then some others just do 1 or 2. And overall, it's always in the end how much time you have because there's a few minutes here, and another contest you have 5 to 10 minutes maybe even. So it's a little bit different, but you can give much more input to the contest if you have more experience.
And what was so far your most, how should I say, hard job as a jury?
I mean, it's always a hard job to be honest, because like there's so many amazing cosplayers, and I also like, for me it's very important to give them like, to make them feel like welcome, to not like I'm sitting back here and I'm judging you very hard, and like to talk to the people and just like keeping neutral overall, because you start with 1 and then you have a score for the first person, and then you have to basically keep the same scoring over 20, 30, 40 people maybe, and then what did I give that? You have to think like the first one is the baseline, so the first one is always the hardest one because you have to judge the first person and you have to judge every other person afterwards based on how you judge the first person, because if you give them a too high score, then you can only go so far up, or if you give them a low score, you can only go so far down, and so on. So it's really all about keeping it even all throughout is where I think the hardest part about it.
And were there any cases where you had any, how should I say, quarrel or disagreement with the other judges?
Always, like we always, like usually for most contests, it's like you have time afterwards to talk about it, and then one person says, well, I like this and this, and then I like this and this, and you have to come to an agreement. I mean, it's never really like fighting or anything. Like I agree with, for example, I'm not a dressmaker. Like I don't make huge dresses. So if somebody tells me, well, this dress is really well made and it's really hard to do, I will believe them because I have no choice. I mean, I try to educate myself on this kind of stuff, but I will probably never make a Victorian dress for myself. So it's kind of hard for me to judge those things. But that's why you need also a diverse jury. So you always have like a little bit of
balance, something.
Fighting between the judges, yes. But in the end, I think we mostly got. I don't remember if I ever got a result where one of the judges wasn't really happy with it.
That's
I think
cool.
we always have to agree on it in the end.
That's really cool. And a little bit about your life as a cosplayer. What happened with you in the last 2 years? I saw that you also worked with Blizzard and Universal Pictures.
Yes, I did some work like that was back then. I worked with Blizzard and Universal for the Warcraft movie promotion. Like I did Varian because I already had the costume and they contacted me, and I did some for Hearthstone as well, for a Hearthstone release event. I also did a couple of contests. Last year I was in Chicago for the Crown Championship of Cosplay for the finals because I won the championship in Vienna.
Wow.
And I was
How
at Euro
it
Cosplay.
like, the in Chicago one?
No, it's like it was interesting. because it's people from all over the world. And, like, I think the contest was pretty basic. Is what I would say, because like you have the same as everywhere. You have like, I think they could have maybe extended the pre-judging a little longer, because you have like 5 minutes if I remember correctly, and this is the top level. I think like everybody from all over the world is a winner from another competition, and so they get together, and then you have like 5 minutes to convince the judges. And I can't even for a costume, because it was Batman, for a costume like Batman, I could probably talk for 15 minutes about it and still haven't covered everything. But you have 5 minutes at this level, I think should be a little bit longer, but that's just my opinion. They probably also have time constraints because there are so many people, so they probably don't have much more time, but I think overall it could have been longer. The convention itself is just a big event, and I had really a lot of fun, especially with like meeting the people in Chicago. Like for me, the contest wasn't as important because I just wanted to meet people and have fun. So I was at the party after the contest until 4 a.m. in the morning, American time, because we flew in on Thursday, and I think Thursday, and we flew back on Monday. And so we did. I already had the jet lag, and then I still stayed up till 4 a.m. their time, which is like 10 or 11 in the morning for here. So
Wow.
But you only get like a few of those chances. So if you don't use them, I think it's a waste.
Yeah, and actually, it's just out of curiosity. How long does it take to get there?
I think we flew 8 hours or 9 hours.
That's not that bad,
from
actually.
Vienna directly to Chicago is, I think, a direct flight. Yes.
And what's your future cosplay plans at the moment?
So many.
Do you have time for them?
Yeah, well, the problem is because I have a lot of projects, like cosplay projects, but I also run 2 conventions as well in Austria. So I also have a regular job as well. So I work all day. I get up, go to work, and then I work on conventions, and then I work on cosplay, and then I go to bed. Like it's literally all I do. I work out in between a couple of times, but projects, I have a lot of projects, but they always take a little bit of time. And working on more World of Warcraft projects like Turelion right now. This is the current project I'm working on. And when I find some time, it's all crafting. And I have a lot of projects in the future, some simpler ones. Like I want more of a summer cosplay, because all my cosplay, even this one is really warm because it's all polyester. So I from Stranger Things, Billy from Stranger Things, was just like shirtless, exactly, with just swimsuit and like curly-haired wig.
That would be super cool. And just one last thing, I heard that tomorrow you will have a panel about muscle suits. Can you just tell shortly about what this will be about?
So for a lot of my costumes, I'm very much about the silhouette of the character. So, for example, Warcraft characters are wide, like they have wide shoulders, big muscles, and while I work out, I can never get like to this size. For example, like All Might I did 2 years ago. And so I make muscle suits for this, and I make all kinds of different techniques. I have 2 different techniques for making a smaller or a bigger muscle suit, and I'm gonna show and with slideshow how to do the different techniques, what you need, how complicated or simple it is. It is not that complicated, honestly, but it takes a lot of effort, and you need to know how to start, and then it's pretty straightforward. So I think a lot of costumes could profit from having like a muscle suit just for the realism purposes, like for looking like the character.
Amazing. It sounds really interesting. I hope a lot of people will attend. So good luck for that panel tomorrow, and have fun tomorrow's competition judgment too. See you guys then. See you later. Bye bye.